Hi, my name's Dr. Chris Manning. I used to be a GP in Twickenham and I had a major depressive episode in 1986 and I was off work for 6 months. My partners were fantastic, everybody was very understanding and I made a full recovery, but it was a hellish time. And one of the things I learned at the time was that depression isn't just a mental illness, it doesn't just affect your mind functions and your thinking and your mood, but it's a whole body physical condition. Because I've been brought up to think that the mind and the body were separate, or we had these terms like mental and physical. And my brain and my body were telling me that this was a defunct way of looking at things. Then I started reading more about this and where it all comes from, and how we're trained as doctors to keep these things separate. And I thought, this is really crazy, because I knew that all the people I was seeing in my practice, I mean, everybody was coming in, they all bothered to bring their minds in with them. Why was I just working on just physical symptoms? Why wasn't I just working with the whole person? And then I started to understand the context in which we live our lives and the predicaments we get into, and that changed my medical practice. So I can really say that depression changed my life. People sometimes ask me about the stigma associated with mental illness. I've been very fortunate, I think, because when I was ill and I had depression, when I was ready, a couple of years later, I came out very openly in a lot of the medical press about my problem. And I think that we'd have a lot less stigma if as many people as possible could come out about their predicament. If you've had an experience in your life, I think it's high time that we came out, and if other people feel uncomfortable as a result of it, then that's something they've got to work out. We tend to think of well-being, we tend to think of health, we tend to think of those concepts, compassion, kindness, love, hope, as being soft or fluffy, things that we do when we've got time. But actually, the evidence, the scientific evidence, and documents like the Foresight Report and coming from neurobiology and neuroscience, is that actually we're hardwired for these things, that if we don't have hope and love, compassion, music, rhythm, spirituality, 5 hugs a day in our lives, our brains don't actually develop as well as they could do. We're trying to change something and stick with a habit that's good for us. And we do that, don't we? We stay with the friends we like, we go out and drink with the mates we like, we go on holidays. Why shouldn't we do that same sort of thing when we're trying to change our habits, which may be quite difficult? People say, oh, we sort of look at things and we think, well, there's no operation for changing your behaviour. But actually, when you sit down with another human being, with a friend or with a therapist, in a good healing environment, you are actually tackling, you're doing like neurosurgery, but without an anaesthetic. So when you sit down with somebody else, with a friend or with a mate or with a therapist, and you do work to change your attitude, your behaviour, your thinking, you are actually working with your own technology, and you're working with the technology of another person at the highest possible level. And just because there aren't loads of bits of cutlery and meters and all these other things flying around, it doesn't mean to say that something incredibly scientific and powerful and real and physical isn't happening. It most certainly is. So have hope, have compassion, get your 5 hugs a day, look after your brain, take it for a walk, and never give up hope. Never ever give up hope. We can all change, we can all be helped. No matter what sort of pickle you've been in, there's fantastic work going on all over the place. There are great things happening in the world. Look at the good news stories, look deliberately for good news stories, look for good friendships. The most important thing is not to bottle up. The most important thing is to let go, is to tell friends, is to tell mates, is to go and seek professional help. We're all entitled to that. So if you are feeling that way, if you are feeling beyond distress, or if you're feeling distress that you can't handle, don't sit on it, don't bottle it up, go and seek help. Prioritise it, put it top of the list. Don't wait for it to be after all the other things you try to cram into your jam jar. Put it first, because you're worth it.